Welcome back, folks. We're here for another week's Mayor's Update.
I'd like to point out that we're extremely timely this week. That
So
it's
good.
right on 7:30 on Wednesday, and we're here. All right, we're
Live.
getting better at this. This is really working out for us in the long run. We're learning how to do this well.
It
I
only
don't
took
see
like
any
200,
questions yet, but no,
200 episodes or so.
yeah, but yeah. I saw something on Facebook today with a memory of something about one of our first shows, right?
Yeah.
And it was funny because I almost put that shirt on this morning.
Ha!
It was 200 episodes ago. So I went with a more plain and basic that can't be yeah, it's not my uniform.
So, I mean, there's lots going on in the city these days, and we've got, I'm
Oh,
sure the snowplows are getting ready for whatever tonight will bring.
yes, and they've spent a fair bit of time this week after some of them got some much needed rest after doing a couple of 12-hour shifts last week. To kind of prepare the city, remove some of the snow from the cul-de-sacs and such, so that there's still room to plow things. It's been a fairly busy week, reopening things,
Yeah.
arenas, and she. I almost said old timers hockey. I guess that's what. Yeah, but a bunch of things. The walking track, a number of things that the city reopened this week. All with great care, of course, but and to great enthusiasm. And a lot of our restaurants are open. I had a lunch
Mhm.
at a local restaurant today, and it was like, boy, old times. Just remembered what it was like, and it was fun, and it's like we just stepped right back to it. So very good, right? It helps me. You know me as a kind of public person. I have to go um see other people once in a while. I know it's been quite hard on Stephanie and I, and I'm sure it's been hard on you and Jess. I mean,
Oh, for
if
sure.
that's all you're seeing, love her dearly, but
Mhm.
no, dear, we already talked about that today. No, dear, you already told me that story. I feel like I'm dealing with my dad. Um, Near the
No,
end of his life, he would tell the same story two or
it's
three times in the same visit, right? So yeah,
yeah.
um, but it's what happens when that's your only transfer of information, right? So
No, I think it's really important that people start to get out and see people again. I know there's a lot of people online that have been really like strong, but I think now that we're into like this next year of COVID, I think people are starting to break a little bit.
no, well, and they want it to mean something, and we've done 2 years of being a great community,
Mhm.
and I'm not suggesting protesting is maybe the right way to go, and that's happened a lot this week too, but
Mhm.
it's more about sharing your community with your community, um, to add some normalcy, some mental health,
Yeah.
some personal, joy uh, to the system. And I've been trying to do that this week too. As I think I was saying to you before we went on, it's like the busiest week I've had in a full year, and it's only
Mhm.
Wednesday. So there's a lot going on because there was a big release on Monday, and some things could open, most things could open. The gyms are open and the restaurants are open, and those that were already open are now um, welcoming everybody else. So it's a great thing. So
And is the library open again?
yes, the 7th, so Monday, the
Mhm.
library is back open, and physically open. You'll be able to go in and browse. They're not hoping many people will sit there, right?
Mhm.
But as it stands, I think for this week, there's still curbside. You can ask for books and they'll bring them out to you still. Next week, they go back to doors open, washrooms open, that type of thing.
Yep, and I hear
And I
there's an
think we'll
auction.
find most are that way now.
There's an auction coming up for the Friends of the Library, which is based out of the Elgin Center.
Yes. Okay.
So
Perfect.
they're going to
So
raise some money for the library, which is fantastic.
excellent. What will there be for us to buy?
Many books of all types have
Oh,
been
books.
donated.
Okay. Right.
Yep.
I was
And
hoping there was some goodies too. I'm way better at a food auction, but yeah, that's maybe a cookbook is the crossover there. I don't know.
yeah, no, they've got,
Yeah,
I'm sure they have a whole selection of cookbooks. Like, I
yeah,
mean, people in St. Thomas like to cook, they like to eat. So,
right,
no doubt.
right. Well, I've got one for this that kind of started this week and it goes 2 weekends. It's called Toonies for Tummies.
Yep.
It's a breakfast program, breakfast. kids breakfast program, um, and Colette Dodge is the one really organizing, but it's at Food Basics now for the
Mhm.
next week or so. You can add $2 to your order or give $2, and it goes directly to this program. Toonies for tummies, and Food Basics is matching the first amount, large amount of money donated. I think $2,000. So we'll say it is. Um,
Mhm.
and I'm going to be there Saturday, and I think Karen's coming Saturday, and we're going to do a bit of I don't know. I might hand out a hamburger or two, and the to those that are being generous to the breakfast program, and so that's another one that's going on. And you know what? It's different because we
Mhm.
haven't done too many events. This is I miss that part too as the mayor,
Yeah,
helping other charity groups, and there's so many of them that work so well in our community, but to help them help themselves or help the community. So happy to go. Right. And maybe see some old friends because I hear, well, Karen's there, so that's an old friend for sure. I think I heard
absolutely.
Mike Stubbs is there
Oh, right
on
on.
Saturday too. So
And he's
right.
the host of AM 980, I believe. Is that right?
Yes, yep, and, Mike and I go back a number of years, he's
Mhm.
still young, um, but, I've been interviewed on his show, many times 'cause he does a
Mhm.
fairly we all know Mike Stubbs is the voice of the London Knights on the radio broadcast, but he does
Mhm.
an afternoon talk show that is as political as they come, or fairly good at describing the time and place in your community. So
Mhm.
anxious to see him again. I hear him all the time, but I'm anxious to see him again. But that's a big one. What else do you know is going on?
Mostly just the reopening right now, like, people just getting ready. Restaurants have, like, ordered the food in again to
Yeah.
host people. They're at, I believe it's like 50% capacity.
Right. Can
So
we say that again though? Because it is 50% capacity.
mhm,
It is some great servers and kitchen staff in all these restaurants that have not been doing their trade for well over a month.
yeah.
Be patient and be thankful and tip well. That may be a better way to put it too. Is look at this. Some of these people have gone without funds
Mhm,
and gone with certainly without the camaraderie that a server has. So let's make sure we're being as kind as we can to every place we're shopping, not just the restaurants, but even the stores. You're back out now and able to go to a restaurant, so you're probably out doing some shopping and stopping in at some of our local merchants too.
mhm.
Just be kind. The capacity is causing them some grief too. There's also some stores that have just been hit by labor shortage
Yep.
or where their staff are not well. Um, and so I read on one or two today where we're not opening the doors today, but watch for us tomorrow, right?
Mhm.
Um, so let's be as kind as we can. That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing that small businesses are getting through this and have a chance to come back.
Totally, and then some businesses are rebuilding. Burger King has been taken down. I've been seeing the
Yeah.
photos online.
I've been
Incredible.
I've been driving by often. I mean, I knew it was going to happen, but it was quite a while ago that city approved the new building, and
Mhm,
I'm going, wow, what's you know why did it take so long? I recognize I rebuilt one of my hamburger
mhm,
businesses, right? And we spent 4 days closed between the closing of the old one and opening of the new one. Well, it's already been 3 or 4 months since Burger King locked its doors, and now they've finally started some of the work on the business. So somebody asked us what's going on where Burger King is. Burger
mhm,
King is rebuilding their store. That building is probably 30 years old the way it sits now, so it was time to re-renovate. And so
mhm.
they've decided to do a full renovation and make the store much smaller, um, drive through and a smaller building.
Yep.
And so they've started now. We'll watch the building happen. I'm expecting a full build like that to be about 2 months or 3 months, depending on where the supply chain is, because that's not good
Yeah,
right now either. Right. So
absolutely. And on St. Thomas
yeah,
happenings, I saw someone who has the old play place from Burger King in their
yeah,
basement. Did
yeah.
you see that photo online?
Well, I heard that it had just been destroyed with the building and was being trucked away. I guess somebody may have gone and said, "Can I have this?" So great.
No, I think this is an older one, like back when I was a kid. Like
Oh,
you were
oh,
building, you
oh,
could
oh,
play
it's
in it.
not the one that just came out of there because look at I
I
think there
think
was
so, but I
even
could be
it
wrong.
was old enough that it probably still didn't maybe pass this year's safety stuff.
Wait, did they still
that
have one in there?
yeah, they
I
did
thought
it
that was.
at the front end.
Oh my
Um,
goodness!
you know
Wow.
what? I'm going to admit to not being in Burger King much.
I haven't been in there that much either. Like
No,
since I
okay,
was
but
in
I
high
own the
school,
Wendy's and
maybe.
people know me, and so it's a little harder for me to visit some of the competitors. I hit the McDonald's drive-through a lot of mornings for a coffee and
Hmm.
a and a, sausage McMuffin, but I don't always. And they always find it strange. What are you doing here? Well, I was picking up a coffee and a sandwich. Oh, well, don't you own the Wendy's? Yes, I do. But as of yet, I don't serve breakfast. And so I came here to help you out. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And then it becomes fun every day. Hey, you're here again. Right. Right. And I don't go every day. I do share with other businesses, but um, so Burger King, that's what it's about. Like it does not look like they saved too much out of the old building. It's a full renovation, and I think I heard also that the building will be a little closer to Talbot Street, so they share the parking lots better. There's one on the other side of the building, of course, too. But
Hmm.
let's wait and see. I saw the plans, but I didn't spend a great deal of time analyzing what they're doing. I know that one of the counselors said we just redid Increment. The street is beautiful with curbs and pavement. Are we ripping it up to put new water and sewer and electricity to that? And apparently we may have to make a cut. So,
Oh wow.
couldn't you have done this before we redid the road? No, I know it's the same as when we do it. We
Yeah.
pave a perfectly good road and then have to, go back and fix something and it ruins that perfect aesthetics of a nicely paved road. Um,
Yeah. And speaking of what the city is doing, is there anything coming up at next council that people should be thinking about to ask questions about?
I don't think so. I just received the agenda about 5 o'clock tonight, and I quickly zoomed through it. Um, uh, Look, I had a conversation also since we last talked with the Minister of Finance for Ontario,
Mhm.
doing pre-budget consultations, and we talked a lot about housing, mental health and addictions, our court system, and the speed or the
Yes.
releasing of perhaps guilty folks. And then a lot about transportation, how the province can help better here that regional transportation that we've been asking for. I'm on that committee still, and we're finishing the report for Minister Mulroney next week, and we'll see what goes from that. We know now, and Mayor Holder and I have had another couple discussions about it. We both serve on this committee, and he chairs it, about the Amazon property on the
Mhm.
old Ford St. Thomas plant and the Maple Leaf Foods and how we will best do at least to London to St. Thomas circle transport.
Mhm.
But I won't feel fully fulfilled until we also include probably Elmer and Port Stanley in it too. We have this whole it's easier to get to Toronto than it is to get to London makes no sense to me at all. So we'll
Yeah, it's pretty
we'll
crazy.
continue to work on it. Right.
So you're saying there you're going to get a route that goes from St. Thomas to the Amazon plant, so people could actually get a bus from
Well,
St. Thomas to go and work at
yeah.
Amazon?
Well, I my impression, what we would want to try to design is kind of a circle. Leave the St. Thomas Transit Depot
Mhm.
where our buses are, and go out that way, probably by North Star windows also, because they
Yep.
need a way to get people to their plant. Down to the Amazon plant, to the south terminus of the LTC in London, near White Oaks Mall, over to Maple Leaf Foods, and back to St. Thomas, or
Amazing.
or the reverse of that. So we'd
Mhm.
originally thought about a half-hour run, St. Thomas to London, St. Thomas to London. Well, that will take longer than a half an hour, so it may be
Right.
um, leave on the hour from each place. But we have to get the approval. We have to get the cash
Mhm.
from the province, some financial help from the province to do it. So um, I may have overpromised the last time. I'm very excited about getting it done, and we
Mhm.
will. But I want to not overpromise this time. That's the intent. We've got two mayors in Ed Holder and myself, and certainly talking with Sally Martin from Central Elgin
Mhm.
and Grant Jones from Southwold. We all want this to happen. Now, as I think we talked last week about transit, how about transit pays
Mhm.
about half its own costs,
Yep.
right? And that's okay in a city because the taxpayers of St. Thomas, even if they don't use the bus, want us to have a good
Mhm.
transportation system. But if this is a servicing London and industry and stuff, so we've got to find a way to transfer some of that money back to the system from those who are benefiting from it,
Mhm.
um, some of the industries. So we're looking at that side of it right now too. So
Right, so seeing if Amazon would actually chip in to the transportation system.
right, because well, not everybody has a car. I mean, with
Mhm.
today's certain inflationary
Yeah.
times and housing costs accelerating, some people are going to have to make that choice between a car and an apartment
Mhm.
also. And so we're thinking that regional transit becomes even more important,
Yeah.
exceptionally more important, right?
Totally. Well, I
Uh,
mean, I'm looking at car prices right now, and I can sell my Jeep for probably more than I bought it for.
yes. Yeah,
That's
and I had that conversation with a car salesman from Disbro.
Yeah.
Did you if you trade your car in, Joe, you'll get exactly well, okay, but I have you got any new cars? No, we're a little behind because of you know, the computer chips that are missed that we have to
Yeah.
get. So yeah, it doesn't really work out for us. It's a lot, right? It's
You can just
not
start
like your
biking
house
everywhere.
went, yeah, your house went way up in price.
Yeah.
Um, but if you sell it, you've got no place to live. And so there's some of these modern day problems that we'll all have to work with. But as
Mhm.
I was saying, we're sharing, there's 3 mayors on the call and a number of other community organizations or not for profits talking about this was called we would normally call this a pre-budget consultation where we're giving the finance minister of Ontario our ideas about what could change, what could be better, what he could implement.
Mhm.
Um, and so it was a very informative day for us to be able to share that with him from a municipal side, and then hearing from even violence against women here in St. Thomas, one of the groups there, and what they think could change or how it could be better, and really housing affects all of us. And when we're talking about housing, everybody's helping with the conversation. So uh, very, very pleased. It was like in the last 2 weeks, a number of consultations with the provincial government through the Roma Association or through that
Mhm.
pre-budget consultation, and it's kind of reliving the past because I know most of them from my past or their past.
Yeah.
So it's great having great conversations with them, and I had a conversation with the Minister of Economic Development too. And it's look,
Mhm.
there's lots going on. And so if you think all we do is meet Monday night and say yes or no to certain pieces of pretty boring stuff on council, there's a lot that happens every day of the week in
Mhm.
conversations with other levels of government and you know uh, how local governments interact with each other too, whether it's London and us or other municipalities near us too. So uh, it's the fun part. It's the personal part of the politics. And I guess speaking of personal part, the Conservative caucus today voted their leader out of the position of leading. Now, Aaron is a
Mhm.
friend of mine, and I would like to say off the start, thank you for your service and your
Mhm.
family's service to the country too. It's never easy to do what you step in politics to go ahead and do. So forget the animosity, but today, thank you. Thank you for what you've done. I know that but other parties think the same way, and it's a heavy load to be in that level of government and
Mhm.
try and serve the people and still be a good parent, and or how to serve the people and how to still be a good friend. And so thank you, Aaron, for what you did, and we'll look forward to see what other friends now decide to run for the job. So, right. So
It's gonna be
uh,
very interesting.
yeah, yeah, it will be. Right. What do we got on the questions today? Oh, we're talking about other things opening up, but there's reopening of churches also. And that's
Mhm.
another place for camaraderie and fellowship that we don't often talk about. And it's nice to be able to go to your favorite restaurant, but there are people that just need that Sunday morning
Mhm.
visit with fellowship or worship with friends
Yeah.
together. And it's been a long time for most people on that. So that's another piece. What do we got for questions here today? Anybody? You've
No,
got us again. Yeah.
but
Ask me more questions.
how's the shelter been going? It's been open for a week now.
It's been
Have you
open,
your reports
and
back?
my understanding is because it also opened on some very cold days, right? Got
Mhm.
started.
Oh, yeah.
Um, Serving more people than was because it's also open 24 hours in one spot, right? And so people may be coming and staying longer or maybe somewhere else and come forward now at lunchtime. Never was, the shelter didn't have lunch. And so now it does. So 3 meals a day in there. But at the same
Mhm.
time, was reading something today about the CMHA and some of the other things that are now available at the shelter, and they're getting um, more inquiries about that too. Look, I expect this was a tough week for Laurie and her team. We
Oh,
had
yeah.
her on, and right, but I expect the biggest phrase all week long is where did we put the insert item here, because whenever you move, I'll be doing that again soon too. But whenever you move, you, the unpacking is the worst part. Well, they had a number of things that they had to bring over in one morning to
Mhm.
be set up to open, right? So it was and again, thank you to Central United for the work for
Mhm.
letting the shelter be there for so long. But um, I think there probably was a number of also phrases of, "Is this ours or yours?" Because over the
Yeah.
last decade of sharing that space, it might have been yours, but it's ours now, right? Right. So yeah.
No, it's
But
absolutely
I hear
incredible.
look, and I purposely didn't want to put any more hardship on them by kind of inquiring or investigating.
Mhm.
Let it go smoothly. I recognize that it's a whole new place and it's 24 hours a day. So we'll probably. I want to have a conversation with Laurie and Sharice in the next couple of weeks about, okay, what have you found? What worked? What didn't work? What could we do different?
Yep.
I was at a police services board meeting this morning. We're talking about incidents um, at the transit building, or incidents of the members that are now living at the transit building, and it was quite a significant difference of how many times the people that are currently living at the transit building had interaction with police in the last year,
Mhm.
and then went to live. How they got housing, they've
Mhm.
got housing and supports, and how significantly fewer incidents those same people were having with the police in our community, uh, because we're able to provide that supportive housing in Wells was providing for them.
Fantastic.
Sometimes you just don't know what you're trying to prove till you prove it. And
Mm.
it's exactly what we're saying. If we can help people with the housing first, we solve
Mm.
a lot of other troubles in people's lives. And we need to keep going as fast as we possibly can on that supportive housing piece, whether it's shelter first and then the
Mhm.
truly supportive piece like at the transit building and the new Queen Street building that's under construction, a little less but still supportive. Um, we're gonna show people, first of all, the compassion, but the right way.
Mhm.
Here's your home, and here's how we can help you with some of the issues you have, whether it's mental health or addictions or identification and a number of other things. This city council is committed to carrying on and doing that. And it is an election year. We won't finish some of these projects till after a fall election this year, so we'll have to figure out what will we keep adding projects? Right? Sometimes I feel a little leery about adding projects for the next council. All right.
Mhm.
All right. So we'll have to continue to have those conversations. We have our strategic plan that runs well past the end of this year. So we'll have to keep working on those pieces too.
Absolutely. But it's like on a night to night, you look out and you're like, you don't want anybody to be out here alone.
I don't. And as we continue to say, we can house you tonight. Please go to the inn. There is a bed. And if by some miracle tonight we reached capacity, there's room to increase that capacity. And tomorrow we would start on what would it be if you're coming every night. We'll make sure there's a bed for you. It's that good. But that's the other piece that we're trying to work quite hard on right now is all community groups all thinking the same way and saying, how do we convince somebody who isn't currently going to the shelter to go to a shelter, to go to that shelter? It's different than the old one. It has it's first of all, it has way better space from a bed's point of view and dividers and such, but it also has more things for you than it used to have in the sense of food. And I know I'm not necessarily speaking right now to somebody who would or could attend the shelter tonight, but I'm speaking to the citizens of St. Thomas who can help us spread that word to those that still haven't decided to come in out of the cold. So, what else have we got?
I had one thing where I wanted to start asking trivia questions because we did it randomly out of the blue a couple weeks ago.
That's right. Nobody won the prize yet.
Nobody won the prize, and I was talking to Jess about it. Jess was like, "You're giving like a full print for everybody who gets an answer each time." I was like,
"No, just the first one. Yeah,
just the first.
It's the first person who gets it right. Yeah,
doing a draw, and then at the end of every month,
right."
And then and draw, and then that the person who wins the draw.
Okay, so what's your trivia? Actually, I'm a fountain of useless information. So please
hit us with a trivia question for tonight, and then if someone comes up with it in the next week, the first person who comments on this feed and lets us know the answer, they'll get entered in the draw for the jumbo print.
Okay.
What do you got?
I don't know if I have anything. Let me think. Okay. What was our first one though?
Wait, what year did you come to St. Thomas?
That's a very good one. All right. Yeah. Well,
so
I was just about to yell it out. Right. So what year did I first become a business owner and a citizen of St. Thomas?
There we go. So the first person who answers that,
right? Somebody figured that out. Right. Now, I helped open the Wendy's when it first opened. And as a corporate store, I was a corporate Wendy's employee at the time. But I did not come here more permanently till I bought the franchise a few years later.
So which year when you bought the franchise? Is that the one we're doing?
Yeah, that's it. Because that's when I became a citizen of St. Thomas and have been here really fully since then. All right. Margaret, I'm not answering your question. Margaret asked me, am I running again? A guy my size and age doesn't necessarily run anyway. So I'm still moving forward. But the decision as to whether I'll run for mayor or not is a couple of months away in my mind. We've got most of this year. You can't announce you're running until, you can say any time that you are, but you can't file papers till later in the spring. So Stephanie and I will continue to look at it. Right. But I've got to get back in the gym a little bit more because if I can't run, I probably can't run. So
are you going to CrossFit Elgin? Is that the gym you're going
to? Yeah, that's who I work with when I do go to the gym. Stephanie has not stopped even through all of this, even while the gym was closed. They've been doing 6 o'clock in the morning online stuff. And so I wake up to the dropping of hand weights and the and the working out. I'm not as comfortable working out on the floor in the kitchen as she seems to be. And when I got up and left very early this morning to go to the police services board, she had moved into the living room and was doing quite a bit of exercise this morning. And I had to go sit in the car and calm down. Because
now there's new ownership at CrossFit.
Yeah, sure. Yes.
Yes,
we should. Dan and Rhonda. Yeah. And both good old friends. We've known them from town, right?
Yeah.
And have taken over the ownership, but it's still the same old crowd and same old group there. So we should give the gym CrossFit Elgin a pretty good shout out. They've done a lot for me. And for those of you that know Stephanie and her mental illness, the working out part is extremely important to her to have that to do. It's part of the routine piece. Well, Sharon Anderson has guessed correctly.
There we go. She's in the draw.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So 1990, I purchased the Wendy's franchise here after helping open it in 1978. So I worked corporately for Wendy's up until then, till the 1990 year, and came here to St. Thomas, and I've owned the Wendy's here. So what's that? 22 years.
Wow.
32 years. 32 years. Right. All right. Sharon, wait till you see how great. Well, maybe you're not going to win, but you're in the draw, right? But Graydon is a fantastic artist, right? I mean, at everything he does, whether it's animation or filming Mayor's Update or oil painting, or I've seen a number of bits of work that Graydon has done. Painting somebody's dog, right? And I mean a portrait of the dog. He didn't paint the dog.
Didn't like. Yeah.
No, because by the way, if you could do that, Wyerton needs an albino groundhog. So we could take the brown groundhog and paint him white. We'd probably be heroes, right? Yeah. I don't know. I cursed the guy later on when it doesn't turn in the spring when Wyerton Willie says it's going to, but we love him on Groundhog Day. So, right. Also, I've seen you do commissioned work of people's homes.
Would you paint on several now? I've got 4 in the works.
So incredible artwork. Way to go.
Right. Thank you. Yeah, no, it's super fun, and it's
wow. Okay, so next week we'll come up. I'm going to now spend the week thinking of what's a good kind of Joe, Graydon, or St. Thomas trivia, right? So okay.
Yeah.
Has anybody else noticed that the scaffolding building at Queen and Talbot, right, has the scaffolding down?
Yes,
the new owner has started work in there, has done some pretty good work already, but is now at the point where he could remove the scaffolding and carry on with the renovation. So, so the answer was last week for everybody who for the last 3 years have said, when is that scaffolding coming down? Right? It's a private property. We had to let the people who own the property decide how to save it, right? Rather than demolish it. And I know a number of us would rather see historic buildings saved. It's usually more expensive, but this gentleman went hard at it, and he will be putting a bit of an addition on the back of that building too. So thank you for more housing in the west end of St. Thomas. And Candace says it looks great. Yeah, and I'm glad it's down too, but I get it. I get why these things go on that way, and with the supply chain the way it is.
Because like when anybody came in from like where I come in from, or if you're in Lyndhurst, you drive in and you come in like through Athletic Park and up St. George, and you want to turn left onto Talbot, you could barely see anything. So it was always this kind of like you creep around the corner, and hope you're not going to get sideswiped by someone booking it through that intersection. So
But has anybody else noticed how many of the other storefronts on Talbot Street, from all the way there, all the way through the East End, are having some work done to them, or people have moved in, or new businesses? There's some really unique things happening on Talbot Street, and I'll have to suggest in my time as being mayor, there's been many more times when there's much more vacancy than there is today. That it's really filling in. It's not filled in completely yet, but it's really a going concern as to a place to be. So looking forward to because we serve on the DDB board, the Downtown Development Board together too. Much more of that happening, and many big things happening in our community. Margaret says progress. Absolutely right. And when you know it's a small business, because anybody locating into the downtown is likely a cell phone small business. You've got an entrepreneurial spirit going with it, and a community spirit going with it. So We sometimes entrepreneurs don't know enough to stop and just keep going till it works. And so thank you for all of you on there. Just stop in and see some of the new stores. I really want to. Right? It, it's a beautiful downtown when we can keep the history there and renovate and remodel. Hi, Eric. Or hi, Julian. Julian saying hi. Right?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Love
I haven't
Julian.
seen Julian in a while. Of course,
I know.
it's
Usually
cold.
you're out at
We're going
events,
out.
so you'll see Julian.
Yeah.
Man about town.
Yep. What other questions do you have for me? What other questions does the public have? This is a forum where you can ask anything about town in town. What's this? What's happening here? What's happening there? I still keep visiting 2 or 3 social media sites where the same question gets asked 2 questions later.
Yeah. Oh.
Candace is asking, how do we get more of the abandoned storefronts occupied? Why don't store owners want to rent these places? Well, they do. I mean, and as I said, there's probably 8 more businesses downtown now than there was just 2 or 3 months ago. So it's starting to work. We also have taken away, the benefit of it being vacant. We offer a community improvement plan, which is cash from the city to better remodel the front of your store from an appearance point of view. But also, I think it's about $5,000 for each apartment you set up also. So we're contributing to this because we want the affordable housing. We want the other stuff to be there. So, somebody asked me, is the walking track now open at Joe Arena? Yes, but limited to a certain number of people. I think the number is 40 on each of whether it's the ice pad, the walking track, or in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
But as of Monday, the Joe Thornton Center is open. You'll need to show your QR code, vaccination QR code to get in. Youth hockey and stuff, I think, is restarting now. Old timers were back at it, I think, Monday morning, because what else have they got to do but go grab their hockey equipment and go over?
Pickleball. Is pickleball open?
Yeah, I think the pickleball is open in the inside, the gymnasium piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I think each step is going. I think Memorial, I don't know about the ice in Memorial. The health unit is still using the auditorium there for vaccination, but I think the ice is back in there too, for figure skating and hockey, and public skating will now start to be scheduled, I think, as of next week too, in one of the 2 arenas. So, when this all happens on the same day this week, and I noticed this
Mm-hmm.
time, even some businesses did this. I know we did it at our place. We have yet to reopen the dining room. Mm-hmm. We're still open for takeout. We still have drive-through. We still have home delivery. We still have curbside. We have all of the other ways of serving people. But because the schedule was already done, we're going to wait a little bit, probably next week or the week after, before we're open for inside eating. But through our choice of we've got a lot of things we have to do at once to reopen it. So we're just slowly doing it.
Mm-hmm. And Faye Gallagher is asking if Montana's is coming to town.
They had originally said they would, and they actually did reach out to the mayor even about that. And I think they've changed their mind. It's come off the list of the stores that were going to go there, but that's the same restaurant group as the Swiss Chalet and the Harveys. Right. And so they've got a lot of work to do. And look, this isn't the end. This is phase 1 of that, the strip along Talbot Street on the old Timken factory property. So I think you'll see more in addition to that. But boy, they're working pretty hard and pretty fast down there. On what appears to be the Starbucks and a couple of the other restaurants and a couple of the little strip plazas. Some great new entrepreneurs wanting to come here also. And remember, almost all of these restaurants are locally owned. You just saw that I came here some 32 years ago to locally own a chain restaurant. So I think sometimes when we're talking about, buy local, sometimes you need to see who else is helping in your community and sponsoring hockey teams and other things like that.
Mhm.
Because it's still good to help them perhaps than any of the national chains that are just corporately owned. So nope, the Starbucks is opening on that. That's one of the businesses opening there. I'm trying to read some of the comments as we talk.
Mhm.
Julian, you're asking about the police building, and it's been not accepting anybody that isn't a criminal. So it's a good thing you weren't able to get in there for a little while. But I think they're back open to the public next week also. Um, of course, if you want to turn yourself in for any crime spree you've been on, knock on the door. They'll help you out. They will. So
And Candace is
uh,
asking if there's any
yep.
of the vacant buildings that are owned by the city in the
Uh,
downtown.
there is no vacant building owned by the city in the downtown. The old social service building we'd been using for our rest center and warming center is owned by us, but we have full plans to turn that into some affordable housing in very short order. Other than
Mhm.
that, we don't own buildings. And I guess that's another thing I should share. I get a lot of calls like, why don't you do this? Well,
Mhm.
it's not ours. I mean, I can't walk into your house and say, let's renovate. I sure can't do it to a downtown business. So we do now uh, encourage financially their improvements, and I see there are some more going on. But we don't own much property in the city in the downtown. That we did where the new social services building in that lot. And the lot in the back that is now under construction by Indwell was property we owned. Um, the transit building was property we owned, so we renovated the upstairs to the Indwell Railway City lofts. So thank you for asking that. But that's a great question, Candace. If people owe money in back taxes, though, can't the city take it? Yes, in a very long time. Um, in most cases now, because of the value of real estate, should we start action on someone for owing back taxes for a number of years? It doesn't happen just because you're short for the last 2 months or something. It takes a longer time. And at which point, there's usually now equity in your building that wasn't there 2 years ago. And maybe you can go borrow the money to pay the taxes rather than us taking the building for a very small amount. So, um, although the answer is yes, we can take it. On back taxes and other buildings on back taxes, uh, 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 not where there's a value to the asset usually. And so we'd rather find somebody like Mr. Wong, who bought the building at the corner of Queen and Talbot and is fixing it up, and spent his time figuring out how can I take this scaffolding down, and what will I do, and what will the cost be versus me going somewhere else and building brand new.
Mhm.
And it is often more often costly to do renovations than it is to build new. But the love of history also forces some people to do what they're doing. So, Candace, thank you for that. I mean, it's great information that we can get out because it really does help. Um, I don't know how many times a week I'm asked, why don't you do something with the lot at the corner of Talbot and Ross? I don't own it. The city of St. Thomas doesn't own it. There's a landowner there who's been waiting to build just the right thing on it and hasn't
Mhm.
decided yet to move forward. I wish they would, right? But we can't build on property we don't own, and so we continue to work with, and the Tiny Hope project that Doug Terry
Mhm.
and the Y and Sanctuary Homes is working on, and we've all heard about what the Terry Group is trying to do with the old railway museum and the land around it, and how to turn that in. But most of this stuff doesn't happen overnight. By the time you accumulate it all, and now on that land, we have to test the ground, and the city owns a little piece there, so we're testing, the brownfield. How bad is the pollution in the soil, so we can move forward, and will. We look. We're not. We understand that housing is the biggest thing that is needed in this community right now, and single family homes are being well taken care of by our great builders. And now even multi-unit purpose built apartments are being taken care of by our builders, right? And there's another, yeah. Candace says the building was rough inside years ago, and right, So it is great that you're saying hopefully the new tenants that go into these buildings appreciate the work the owner has put into it. Of course,
Mhm.
that's what prevents a lot of people from getting into the landlord business, right? Um, if it costs them more to be a landlord, then it's easier to just be a real estate speculator, buy it and sell it. So
Yeah.
I get it. And I get. I'm not certain I want to be the one that has to go out and fix somebody's plumbing in the middle of the night either, or go bother someone to collect back rent, those types of things. So I understand the how hard landlords work. Right?
I have a bunch of friends that do that, and it is not it's not easy when things don't go well.
No, but it can work for you. It can be an
Mm.
income, right? But I was hearing on social media from somebody who does have, I think he said 3 houses or 3 buildings. So he's not a, a huge landlord, but somebody was saying, well, they just gave the landlords the ability to raise the rent by 1.5 points, one and a
Mhm.
half percent this year, right? And so and 2 or 3 people immediately came on and said, "Why would you do that? Why can that happen?" Right?
Mhm.
Well, and so he came on and said, "Well, can I go to your employer and say you can't have a raise? Right? Even a small one that is less than the cost of living, um, because that's what you're saying to me.
Mhm.
I can't take even 1.5% increase on rent.
And
So
as we know, city taxes go up, other expenses
there's
go up.
inflation right now of about 4%. So
Yeah.
that I get why. Then at some point you now get to, I'm not doing this anymore. It's just it's not easy enough, or it's too hard, it's too complicated, and it certainly isn't profitable enough. And we need every bit of
Mhm.
affordable housing we can do. One of the things you're going to hear us talking about a lot more in the next little while, we passed a law, a bylaw this year, and the province urged almost all communities to do this, and we anxiously did it. It's called um, associated units or auxiliary units,
Mhm.
where you can add as many as 2 units to your house, usually likely renting out the basement, so turning your basement into an apartment, right? Or another one, even a backyard unit, or converting the garage. Without
Mhm.
You can't change the outlook of your building, the footprint of your building. But many of the old homes in St. Thomas on fairly big lots could do this. And why I mentioned it, we really would love it to happen. Each one of those is a housing unit for somebody, and
Mhm.
we need housing as bad as anything. But it also is another way to keep some seniors in their homes. If they were able to rent a basement apartment or a garage apartment, um, and collect that rent, and they're on a fixed income, that's now going to cover better their expenses. But it's also going to give somebody living in the home with them and that kind of security that can come with that too. So we're going to talk a lot more. And St. Thomas has many large homes that could have an accessory unit with them. And if we only did 50 or 60 a year, that's 50 or 60 more housing units in St. Thomas of the affordable type, right? They're not free, of course, but good. That's
No.
another piece that you're going to see us try and push on the affordability side.
Yep, and with the housing prices continuing to skyrocket.
Well, it also, if I can also say, one of the other things that it does is it allows someone to buy a house knowing they're going to turn it into um, another accessory unit in it. Helps them with their mortgage. If they
Mhm.
come forward already ready to buy the house or close to ready, the bank will then hear, well, you're going to take this much of a rent each month towards your mortgage payment. It's another way you can get into your house finally. So perfect.
Mhm.
Well, I'm looking at what else we got here. Mostly it's Julian asking, yes, the restrictions are softened.
Mhm.
We This Monday, many things changed to allow access again. Not all buildings have reopened. In 3 weeks, the province will look at it again and say, what's the next step? Or
Mhm.
there isn't another step if we're not softening the cases of COVID. So the restrictions provided almost everywhere, provided you show your QR code of vaccination, you're allowed to go. So to many of those places. If you can't, then many of those places you can't go. That's the limit on the restrictions.
Yeah. All right. I think I got to call it. I got to get some work done. Got to finish up some projects.
What, you have another job? I have a couple, but I've got time for you. Apparently, no, the opposite is not true. Thank you. This has been fun, and it always goes longer than I want it to because I get talking, and it's kind of fun.
It's so fun.
It's a great way to get information out to 1,000 people. So, for all of you watching tonight, please share with others that you were watching tonight, and please share that we're here. Share some of the things we said. Correct people if they're wrong. Nicely, be nice, right? And join us again every Wednesday at exactly 7:30. We joined tonight exactly at 7:30. So thank you for sharing, and add comments to this anytime during the week if you want a question asked or answered next week. It's a great way for us to start with a number of good questions. And Candace, thank you for being really helpful tonight. Some of those downtown questions I've been wanting to really share. So thank you.
Absolutely. I don't know if my connection is cutting out there, but I'm doing some editing for Candace. I'm doing some drone footage and editing together. And that's one of the projects that I'm working on tonight to get finished up and send off her. It's super fun.
Okay. Is there much overhead in the drone business?
A huge amount of overhead.
Yeah, huge amount of overhead. All right. Well, thank you all, and thank you, Graydon, for this week, and we'll see you next Wednesday at 7:30.
Sounds good. Take care, everyone.